How are you today? Welcome back to the channel. Kindly take action and subscribe to my channel.
Today we will go through a brief history of one of the first ever cyber attacks. It took place on November 2, 1988. Robert Tappan Morris was responsible for the creation of the malware that caused harm to the computer systems. The malware was named after the creator and was called the Morris worm. The Morris worm, also known as the Internet worm, was one of the first computer worms to spread across the Internet. Created by Robert Tappan Morris, a graduate student at Cornell University, it was released on November 2, 1988. Let's first know who Robert Tappan is. Robert Tappan Morris, the creator of the Morris worm, was born into a family deeply rooted in the world of technology and security. His father, Robert Morris, was a renowned cryptographer who had worked at the National Security Agency, NSA. Growing up in such an environment, young Robert was exposed to computers and programming from an early age. Morris's interest in computers and networks grew as he attended Harvard University. He was known for his technical prowess, particularly in Unix systems. In 1988, Morris enrolled in graduate school at Cornell University. It was during this time that he created the infamous Morris worm. This is how it worked. The worm exploited vulnerabilities in several Unix-based systems, including BSD Unix and Sun OS. Unix is an operating software just like the famous Windows software, but unlike Windows, which uses a point-and-click interface, Unix uses a command line interface. This means you type commands to tell the computer what to do. The Morris worm would spread by copying itself onto vulnerable machines and then scanning the network for other vulnerable systems to infect. The Morris worm functioned as a denial of service (DOS) attack. It had so much impact. The Morris worm caused significant disruption to the early Internet. It overloaded many systems, making them unresponsive and inaccessible. The worm's spread was so rapid that it effectively took down a large portion of the Internet at the time. While the financial sector was not directly targeted, the widespread disruption caused by the worm could have indirectly impacted financial institutions, particularly those reliant on network connectivity for their operations. The exact damages were difficult to quantify, but estimates started at $100,000 and soared into the millions. This resulted to Robert Morris being arrested and convicted of federal computer crime. He was sentenced to 3 years of probation, 400 hours of community service, and a fine of $10,050. The Morris worm incident was a wake-up call for the security community, highlighting the potential dangers of vulnerabilities in computer systems and the need for better security practices. The Morris worm remains a significant event in the history of cybersecurity. It helped to shape the development of security practices and technologies that are still used today. The incident also raised awareness of the potential for malicious cyber attacks and the need for vigilance in protecting computer systems. Despite the controversy surrounding the worm, Morris continued his academic pursuits. He returned to Harvard to complete his PhD under the supervision of H.T. Kung. After completing his doctorate, he went on to work in various technology companies, including Microsoft and Google.